So since moving to New Zealand, I've had the chance to explore up north, out west, towards the center of the island, but not so much down south. And this last weekend provided a great opportunity for Emily and I to hop in the van and head down south. The trip's about 6.5 hours, and it's beautiful the whole way along down Highway 1. And you drop into this area called the Catlins. The Catlins are kind of this beautiful coastal region defined by the wildlife, these sea stacks, all these cool rock formations and big beautiful rolling hills. But along with everything beautiful, they're known for unpredictable weather. The goal was to head down there, take a few days in the van with our dog to explore the area, camp in what we figured was going to be a really, really beautiful place, and kind of enjoy like a little 3-day vacation. What ended up happening was still a beautiful 3-day vacation, but virtually none of the weather that we expected, which is in typical New Zealand fashion. Between the bouts of wind and rain and all the sand being kicked up and everything, I got out and I took some photos and some videos and even snagged a few opportunities to fly the drone. The honest truth is that this video might make it look a little nicer than it was, but that's only because the opportunities I took to get out and to shoot and to create any kind of content for this video, those were the only moments where there was any kind of a break in the conditions. But this is all just, part of photography and part of the fun. And it also raised a few thoughts. Now, I'll spare you guys from having to listen to me talk and look at my face the whole time. This video is much more about some of the photos I took, some of the videos I took, and then a few of those thoughts that relate to, shooting in really poor weather in beautiful places. I think there are some techniques, some ideas, some stuff that can come out of this that's really important to keep in mind. And I also want to add that the Catlins are just a beautiful, beautiful place to spend at least a few days. You could even spend a few weeks. There are trails all over the place. The sea cliff that we camp next to is one of the most beautiful cliffs I've seen in the entire world. And the changing environment, whether it's the weather, the light, just the environment in general, it's mesmerizing. You could spend so much time here doing landscape photography and just soaking it up. So I hope you guys enjoy this beautiful place. Before I really dive into the 3 points I want to talk about in regards to shooting in poor weather, just a quick reminder to like, subscribe if you're willing, and to please leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. Let's start a conversation, an argument, whatever it may be. I'm here to chat. So we ended up spending pretty much all 3 days in a location called Paranaukui Bay, and excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly. The reason we stayed there when we had planned to head out to some locations like Curio Bay and Nugget Point was really just that we were taking what the weather gave us, and this location was the right place for us to be. And that leads well into my first thought about shooting in poor conditions, and that is just that we need to employ a greater degree of patience, right? So when we're out here and things are blowing, the sand is kicked up, the salt is in the air, and we're just feeling like the opportunity isn't there for us, well, it's going to be there for us. There will be breaks in the weather, but unlike some other kinds of photography where maybe we can stay more mobile, maybe we want to move from one scene to the next very quickly. When we have poor conditions, we need to start thinking about, waiting and listening to what we're getting, what we're being given. If we try to force the issue, we can damage our gear for one, and we might just have less fun for two, but we also might be missing that beautiful light that's just on the other side of the storm. Any amount of time spent sheltering from the elements was followed by a period of drama, of beauty, and of immense photographic potential, making clear the second point that I want to make today. The very best conditions we find for photography, they often come just after the worst conditions. The energy flowing throughout a storm, hidden behind its gray veil. As it flows past, it leaves behind a photographic story for us to tell. Care for your gear and care for your health, but do not avoid the storms. By following the storms, you give yourself a unique opportunity to create beautiful and unique imagery. Lastly, we have to remember that storms and bad weather and challenging circumstances, they're going to challenge our technique. And the best thing we can do is to stay out of our own way and focus on the story. One thing I believe very, very strongly is that we overfixate on clean exposure and this clinical approach to the exposure triangle. I preach all the time that we need to break the exposure triangle. Push our ISOs, use slower shutters, whatever it may be. Don't be afraid to push your settings for the sake of getting a photo, rather than missing that photo, just to maintain some level of, clean or cleanliness. Be dynamic. Don't be afraid to push things. The scene will be pushing you. There will be extreme highlights and dark shadows. There will be fast-moving atmosphere. Ultimately, when you're in a storm, when you're in tough conditions, the elements are stacked against you, but you can work within your settings and you can get creative in order to depict the scene and to tell a more compelling visual story. Ultimately, we're storytellers. That's what we're doing with our photos. And we have to remember that some ISO grain or a little bit of introduced motion blur, that doesn't take away from the story. If it's done well, it adds to it. All right, and that about wraps this one up. This was such a fun weekend spent in a place I've been actually looking to go to since, years before moving to New Zealand. It's just so much fun to play around somewhere new. And even though we got some rough conditions, I think you saw it, we also got some really, really beautiful moments that were just, so much fun to capture. I spent pretty much the entire time with the Nikon Z8 in my hand, shooting on an assortment of lenses, and then finally, for the first time ever, got to fly the DJI Mavic 3, which was just an absolute blast. Drones are bittersweet. I have mixed feelings at times, but when it works out and you're not disturbing anybody, there's just, nothing can get those results. So this one was a load of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the images. I think you can probably tell at this point that I am a bit of a dramatic guy. I feel dramatic when I'm in these places. It feels like I'm in a movie, and that's kind of the direction I'm going with these videos. I want you to know how emotional I am in these places and to feel the way I experience them. And I want you to experience them, as best you can as well. So I hope this did something for you. If you can comment below and let me know if it's working or not working, that'd be great. I'd also love to hear what your favorite photo is. That would just be exciting to have that conversation with you. And I'll be back here next week with another video. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.